Okay, let's get started. This is the leadership series. We're going to talk about Frédéric's leadership. But first of all, I just wanted to hear a little bit about Cogier, or Cogier, how they pronounce it in the U.S. Please tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, maybe about the pronunciation. So Cogier is a French name, so it's Cogier. And it was funny because when we entered the U.S. market, all our colleagues and the residents, they were calling the company Cogier. So, and my colleague Yvonne, that was our leader in the U.S. when we started, she kind of taught them, that it's Cogier, and they felt it was more fancy. So since that day, we also changed the name of the residence to Cogier now. So it's Cogier of Sonoma or Cogier of the city that we operate. So Cogier, it's our 30th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Today. Not today, but this year. And it's, it was founded by Mr. Serge Duguay. So it was his retirement project. So it was supposed to be like a company that he was going to own and operate for 3-4 years. So we're 30 years later, and we manage 520 sites and 290 senior residences across North America.
And how long have you been in this position?
16 years.
Okay.
So I started, being their VP of operation for senior residences. Then I took some other responsibilities. I had multi-residential construction, commercial malls. And I was promoted as their president of senior living about 5 years ago. So, and we're 20,000 colleagues in that company. So
wow.
It's an amazing. I think I'm one of the biggest fan of that team. So
there you go. How does somebody, because Heather mentioned off the top that you'd been at RONA for a long time, and RONA to me is like the one-stop shop renovation building company. So how do you make the pivot from something like that to retirement living?
That's an interesting company. So I know that, a lot of people in the room, they have a connection, with the industry because of their grandparents or parents. So I had it was a different journey for me. So, I was with RONA developing their commercial division.
Okay.
That's what I was doing. So I was their national director of sales. And we were acquiring wholesalers, like plumbing wholesalers, electrical wholesalers. And our mission was to sell to property managers and also to contractors. And this is how I met Mathieu Duguay, the actual owner of Cogier. And Mathieu wanted to replace his father, so he called me, and we had like a 9 months discussion before I said yes. Cogier, not Cogier, but RONA was my kind of dream company.
Okay.
I told you before, but the CEO of RONA was my mentor. And he's someone that I really appreciated to, working with in the past. So it was, to me, the best company. But I always had that kind of entrepreneurial spirit inside me. And Mathieu was telling me, join me. It's a smaller company. We're going to grow it together. And one day I said, okay, I'm going to join you and let's try to be the best at what we do. And since that day, I've been with Cogier.
You haven't looked back. But you mentioned about mentors, and I'm always interested about that, about sort of the inspiration, the people that take you along your journey to where you are now. So what was it about the person at RONA that inspired you? What were his qualities that you thought, yeah, you know what? I like this. He's helping me along. How did that work?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I've always liked with Mr. Dutton was the sense of purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was building RONA as a company, we were growing, so acquiring companies, and I was always asking Robert, what's the point? We're just going to become bigger and bigger. And one day he told me it's not about, being that largest company. We want to have a purpose. So we're going to become that vessel across Canada where we're going to help small families, company owners to have that platform. So for them to be able to sell across the country. And RONA, it was like, their concept, it was not corporate stores. We had like dealers or business owners. So it was the same concept. Let's try to make them better at what they do. So that's what he thought, me, Mr. Dutton. It was a real inspiration. And the other thing that he did It was like 20 years ago, it was always about culture, company culture, company culture, company culture. So, I remember a lot of conversation with him, and we're trying to do the same at Cogir. But 20 years ago, I think he was probably one of the only CEO, I believe, speaking about culture as he was doing. So,
with culture, is there any part of risk in all of this? You said you hadn't heard of anybody really speaking about culture 20 years ago. Was it risky to be thinking about that and not as much about the bottom line? I don't know. I just want to know about risk taking and where you are on that.
The thing the way I see culture, it was more influential. So how can you gather a group of people, colleagues, to work in that same direction? Because we're asking our team make decision on a daily basis, and you all know in that room in senior residences, it's about 1,000 decisions that you're making, on a daily basis. So if we take those decisions following like a compass, so following that culture, usually we're not going to be wrong. So that's so I think it's not a risk, but it's more of an advantage to having that a great culture and sharing the same culture.
All right. Well, then describe culture. What is your culture at Cogir?
So the culture at Cogir, we have the words on the values on the wall, but it's more than that. So I call it the PIP. So it's about people, innovation, and performance. So we have a lot of management contract in our company. So if we don't perform, we're always at risk. But we understood, early in our when we designed the business that we're in the people business. It's only about people, and it's them. It's not about our system. Real estate is nice, but they not, our residents, they don't make the decision to move in a senior residence because of real estate. They make the decision to move in because of that connection they have with people. And, what we try to do also at Cogir is develop, that business ownership concept. Because we cannot be everywhere, with 290 residences across North America. We don't want to make all the decisions for our sites. We see the general manager or the executive director, the master host, you name the title, as they are like the mayor of a small village. So they have to, embrace our culture, but they also have their own culture. So that's kind of the culture at Cogir. A lot of, I think, a good balance between top down to bottom up.
So there is autonomy there. So you're not dictating from home base about what you're supposed to do.
We have our KPIs, that we follow. So we have 5 KPIs that we're like a Swiss clock. We follow them on a monthly basis. But the rest, we don't.
Okay, wait. Yeah. What are the 5 KPIs? You can't just throw that out there and not tell us what they are. What are they?
That's my secret.
Secret sauce. Okay, let's hear them.
No, it's really simple. So the first one is about occupancy. So it's how many units are rented. Second one is about NOI. Then it's about resident satisfaction, employee satisfaction, and operation excellence.
Okay, all right.
Just follow those.
And we heard a lot about resident satisfaction and employee satisfaction in the first panel when you guys were wearing your cool T-shirts. We heard a lot about that, and we're hearing that from you, a really resident kind of centric approach to the way that you operate. And so, how do you keep on top of that? 290? Is that what you said? 290 residents.
290.
How do I know that you let people do their thing, but how do you make sure and measure that it's happening?
Yeah, so it's with the KPI. So that's what we do in the culture. But it's a lot about asking our team to create their own local experience. So so it's good. Bottom line is important in our business, but there will be no bottom line if we don't have the best team at the site. Because they hear, they listen to the residents, to the families, and they're gonna adapt our offering to what the clientele is looking for. So that's kind of what we do at Cogir. It's a lot about customer experience. And just a simple story. When we started to manage in British Columbia, one of the residents stopped me when I was doing a property tour, and he said, how come we're not allowed to eat salmon from Pacific? So the sockeye salmon.
Yeah.
I was, I don't know why are you asking me the question? Just ask the chef. He's gonna give you, the salmon that is to your liking. So I went with him to see the chef, but the chef told me, "Oh no, we have a list of products that we're allowed to buy, and it's not on the list." So that's exactly what we don't want to see at Kosher. We changed that list and we named leaders per province. And we told, the leader, now it's your decision. If you want to buy salmon from Pacific, just do it. And, on the East Coast, it's more from the Atlantic, but, it's kind of that we have to adapt the offer to each and every region that we operate.
Right. So you're flexible, you're nimble, you're able to move. I'm from Atlantic Canada, so we don't eat Pacific salmon.
No,
it's not as good. So just by the way.
The light pink salmon. Yeah.
But there's another great example that you were telling me about when we were chatting before. You're telling me that the 9 there in your residence, there are 9 women for every man, right? Okay. So some of the programs that have been developed really don't speak to the guys who are in the residence. So how did you adjust for that? Tell us about that.
That's a good question. So one of our leadership meeting that we did, we met with the title of that person was a futurologist.
A futurologist?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember someone by the name of Faith Popcorn, probably 25 years ago. Yeah. So it was not Faith Popcorn, but kind of similar concept. And they were telling us about circular economy and things that was going to be the future. And when we went back at dinner, they spoke to us about car sharing. And, everything that we could share, in a property. So one of the idea that we said, why don't we try, to offer, car sharing to our resident, as long as they have a good standing driver's license. And Kosher being entrepreneur, it was, I was in discussion with the owner, Mathieu, and Mathieu said, Monday morning, it was probably on a Saturday night, and he said, Monday morning, we're buying the car. And Tuesday it's going to be in function. So that's exactly what happened. And what we realized, so the men, they had like a purpose. So they volunteered to drive other residents across the city, or to go to some appointments. And they drive the ladies, so probably they're they're happy to make new friends. But that was one of the ways that we were able to change the. It's about the experience and about what's the purpose of living in a senior residence. And we had discussions, with men, and they were saying, no, the only reason why I would move in is I don't want to cook. But we said it should be more than only about cooking, and having sharing cars was part of the experience. So now we have 35 sharing cars in Quebec. And we have our first 5 cars in Ontario. So it's a nice program.
And these are electric cars?
Electric cars, yeah. And we convert them. So we had to add like cameras in front of the car. And also, we called it like the airplane, a black box. Just in case something happened, our insurance company, they want to be able to understand what happened. We also film inside the car. And there's a special button, so if you're lost, they can call the front desk at the residence.
It's all figured out. That's just so fabulous, right? That's
fabulous, yeah.
And there was another great story. So Frédéric's a really good storyteller. And so there's another great story about you visiting another one of your residents, running into a guy who makes craft beer. So tell everybody about that, because it's a fabulous story.
That was a fun story. So I was, it's in Regina, Saskatchewan. So I went, to do one of our side tour. And one of our leaders told me, one of my friend has a brewery and he would like to meet with you. And I think we could do business together. And I was, no, we're not really in, the business of selling alcohol.
Right.
So I went with them and everything was staged. I think they already made the decision when I was there. So they had that nice Pilsner, and they said, if you accept, we're gonna give, the beer. So we're gonna serve it for free to our residents. And they already had that name also. So it's called the Pension Plan Pilsner, and it's served in Regina. So.
And are you developing craft beer in any of your other places? Is that an option for anywhere else?
No, it's back to the concept that we like our team to make local decisions. So for them, it was something that pleased the residents. So if the opportunity comes, we're gonna do it. But from one province to the other, the legislations are not the same. So we're pretty careful with alcohol. It was nice, just.
Did it taste good?
Yeah, it tastes good.
Good.
The name was so fun.
It was perfect.
The Pension Plan Pilsner. Yeah.
There you go.
Did I tell you about the gelato also?
Oh, you might have brought in the gelato. We can't forget the gelato. Okay, go for it.
So it's another site visit that I did with two of our colleagues here in Ontario, and one of the idea, just across the street there's a gelato store. And one of our colleagues, she said, if we want to be able to attract and be different, we're going to have our own flavor of gelato. So that's one thing also that we have in one of our residents.
And has it been named?
Not yet, but there will be a name. There will be a name for it.
Perfect. All right. So let's just talk about you personally then. So we're here. You're open to new ideas. You're open to being a little creative, maybe thinking outside the box when it comes to your business. What would you say is your strongest leadership quality?
Probably listening. That would be probably my strongest skill. And just being honest that we have to share leadership. I think that's my style. I don't want to have the spotlight on me. And it's the same with everyone, I co-share. We're all, it's never been like an objective to be, at 290 residences. We've always said to ourselves, let's try to be the best at what we do. And it's never been like we want to beat our competitor. It's never been kind of our story. It was always, let's be the best at serving the clients that we have. And clients could be our investors, but also our residents and their families.
Right.
And we said the phone is going to start ringing if we do well. So that's kind of what we've done. So about the leadership style, it's really to be close to the site. So 2-3 days per week, I tour properties.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I like the most. Just connect with the team, understanding how can we help you. How can we, do we have like any roadblocks that we can remove? What service do you get from our support offices? Are you happy with the services? Can we change something? And we just, that's what I do. That's what I like to do.
Yeah, we heard a terrific question earlier in the Cool panel about how the leadership engages with staff, and so this is one of the ways that you do it. Going visiting sites. Are there other ways that you encourage your staff to grow and to go up through your business?
Yeah, so we like to promote our colleagues from within. It's we feel it's easier because we share that same culture. When we're in the same company, we already know someone. And a lot of our colleagues that are in our leadership position, they came from within the company. And to stay in touch with them, back probably it was just before pandemic, we had that program called Co-Share Next Gen, where we were meeting with 50 colleagues that we were told. So it was not us that were making the choice. It was going to be on that group, and meeting them for 4 weekends during a year, just to share the culture, explain them what was the company about, what we were looking for in a future leader. And what I'm really proud of, when I look at our new generation of leaders, probably 90% of them, they came from that program.
Oh, really? And so were these people also from all different aspects of the business?
Yeah.
So
Some were from site levels, some were accountants or from operation, human and culture, so different. We also, even in the Cogier Foundation, so we have a nice foundation in the company, so we don't make the decision, are we going to provide money to a specific association or an organism? We always ask that panels, and the panel is composed with caregivers, nurses, servers, and some VP at Cogier. So that's all we do.
And are you recruiting from post-secondary as well? Is that something that happens in terms of how we always hear about labor shortages and that sort of thing? So how does that recruitment piece work for you?
So following pandemic, we during pandemic, so recruitment has never been like a big concern at Cogier before pandemic, but when pandemic hit, I think like everyone around the room, it was more difficult. So we hired 10 recruiters just to take some pressure off, our teams, and we started an international program for immigration. And we hired probably now 150 colleagues from outside the country. With everything that comes, with we have to welcome them, make sure that and the culture now, it's not the company culture, it's the culture from a foreign country to the Canadian country. So that was a part of our plan. That's the way we do it. So
and then retention is good, like as far as being able to understand how Cogier works. That retention piece is stable.
It's been stable. Yeah. So on retention, there's it's such an important subject in our business. So, one of the things that, and it's more, something I'm going to say that we saw in Quebec. So we had 50% turnover before pandemic. In Quebec, the government, after pandemic, they offered a subsidy to the caregivers, $4 an hour. So we kept that subsidy. And since that time, our turnover rate has like reduced by 50%. So we're between 10 to 25%. So that's that's such an important subject. Yeah. Because when we use staffing agency, temporary agency, they don't know the residents, they don't know our system, they don't know again, the experience and the culture. So it's never that same quality. So that's why retention is part of all the subjects, the important subjects that we discuss.
Okay, let's get back to you and you as a risk taker, because I'm always interested in this. What is there? Can you define what the biggest risk you've ever taken is? Was it leaving Rona maybe and going into this crazy business? I don't know, or is it something that you've done at Cogier? What is it?
We've taken a lot of risk. No, I think our biggest risk has always been at Cogier, and me as the leader, to be able to tell our client, if you're not satisfied, even if we have a contract, we're gonna like exit your residence after 30 days.
Right.
So, and it's Mr. Duguay that taught me, that story when he started the company. He said, we're gonna be so good that I don't want to have like long-term contract. I want to have 30 days contract. So, when we had that conversation, I was telling him, it's never going to work. If we do 30 days contract and we lose all our contracts, we're going to lose our business. And he said, no, we're going to put ourselves at risk of being the best on a daily basis. That's the way he saw it. And I've kind of, always followed that path. So,
and it's worked so far.
Yeah. It worked so far. Yeah.
All right. And then, you talked about how you visit different sites to keep in touch with what is happening. But is there another way that you adapt, that you stay adaptable? Because things change so quickly in this world. I'm just wondering how you keep up with all of that.
Yeah, again, it's it's listening a lot. So, and I know now, there's a big buzz around artificial
I
intelligence.
was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure you're gonna ask. And I remember back in February, I was, in a conference called Sembridge, with other colleagues from the industry. And I really felt that I was behind because they were all talking about, hey, I use artificial intelligence for, that aspect. And I said, oh boy, I don't really use it except from some emails. But now, to adapt, one of the things that we do, we have our innovation lab at Cogir. And we also, we invested in technology company. So, we invested in, it's kind of a 3D table, but with smart guys, and they're developing an avatar for us. So it's one of the projects that we have to stay connected with, with the resident and give them more choices. So it's different to what Anne Béliveau showed from Cirque du Soleil. That was that amazing eco idea that she had. And we also invested in a radar company. So it's, fall detection and fall prevention is really important in our business. And, we receive a lot of calls from suppliers trying to sell their products. So, and sometimes it's a camera or, so we said, no, we're going to invest in a radar company. And we're going to try to develop something that it's not going to be intrusive for residents and see, if we can do, grow our way in that business, just to help again senior experience for the future.
Okay, so let's just talk a little bit more about this. I always think of things being worn around a neck if somebody falls or something like that, or a buzzer very close by. What does this look like?
Yeah, it's a small device that will be plugged in the electrical outlet, so on the 110 volts.
Yeah.
And if you fall on the ground, then it's going to detect that there is no movement in the apartment, and it's going to send a signal to the front desk. And if everything works well, they're going to send a nurse or one of our employees to to the unit to see has everything happened. It's not. It's more fall detection than fall prevention.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And
are you testing it out now?
Yeah.
And
we're testing it.
How's it going?
So far, it works well. We're just not sure about liability. So it's one thing also that we have to discuss.
And what about this avatar? What's that about?
Yeah, the avatar. It's a nice concept that we want to develop. So it works on a tablet. And it's a device where, with different features. So a resident, as an example, if someone wants to call their parents or children, in that case, sometimes they, just to take the phone can be something that they don't want to do, or so they're just going to have to say, hey, can you call Frédéric, please? And they're going to call me directly. So that's, one of the things. They're going to have access to the menu if they want to reserve the car or reserve a room in our residence, in Quebec, there's a lot of a la carte, so it's not 3 meals included. So if they want to reserve a fine dinner, so they can, they can book using the avatar. And we're also working with a telemedicine company to be able to offer the service through the avatar. So that's what we're doing. So.
Yeah, because I was wondering about how you balance things are changing so quickly, but how you balance the innovation, which can be a little bit less personal, with what we heard about today, that you're dealing in the business of humans, caring for people. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah. So it's always, at Cogir, we like to keep things simple and always make sure that the decision that we're going to make are going to be for the residents. And, that we will never lose sight that this is what we're doing in life. We're even in our multi-residential, so regular rental business, we're in real estate, but our kind of mission is to, make a difference in people's life. And I tell the same to our commercial division when we manage commercial malls. I tell them our job is to make sure that the owner of a specific store is going to be the best. So we have to make sure that what we offer them is that kind of vessel or trend to be able to become just the best. That's what we do. But to be to stay connected, one of we tell our team, if we go too far, let us know, because we have several ideas. And it's easy to say, hey, we're going to introduce an avatar as an example. Who's going to execute and operate the avatar? So, and our people, at site, they are bombarded with demands. It's demands, going from every direction. So we just want to make sure that's why, I still go at site level and that I like, because at least I'm connected with them and they're going to tell us, hey, you went too far. So, but it happens, and it's not perfect at Cogir. We still, we have that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
So we like to test, we like to change system. And, we have 10 programmers inside the company. To Karen's point that she said earlier, we receive a lot of, vendors. They come to us and they tell us, oh, my system's going to work in French. It just doesn't work.
No.
So, among the years, what we decided, we said, we're going to develop our own system.
Right.
Now we feel there's some limit to it also, but, that was kind of the way we've developed the business.
Gotcha. You talked about the gelato, you talked about the beer, you talked about the electric cars. Is there anything beyond that residents have taught you? There's something that through the years at Cogir that you've really embraced and learned from your residents?
A lot, I have to say. So as an example, last year I met with one of our residents. And just the way, we were selling our, the product or the services that we're selling, his name is Mr. Milton. And he said, do you have, some minutes to, for us to have lunch? And I had lunch with him and he wrote a book about senior residences and, retirement life. And it was really inspiring for me, because what he said, that's exactly what he told me. He said, Frédéric, it's a people business, and I made the choice to move in that residence, not because of Cogir, not because of the name of the residence. I made the decision to move in because, I felt good when I meet, with the team and with the other residents. So the most impactful thing that a resident told me is never lose sight that it's a human business, and we do it for seniors. So
you're right. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. And then in terms of the future, because we're, as I said, things are changing very quickly. Where is this going? Where do you see this going? We heard about the bistros. We heard about, I think it was Steve who was talking about all the different options now. Maybe it was Adam, all the different options that are available. And it looks such a different business than it was 15 years ago, 10 years ago. So in the next 10 years, the next 15 years, look at your crystal ball. Where are we going to be?
So I think, what we like to say at Cogir, and what I like to say is we're going to provide more options. So senior living is one of the options. And, there's difference between one province or, one state to the other, or Canadian and US market. But I think the new generation of seniors, they're going to look for different services. They're going to look for apartments that are larger. I'm a big believer in full kitchen in the apartment, because they have the option to cook, for themselves. Even if they don't use it, to me, it has to be there. And technology will take more space. But I think if there's one thing we have to keep in mind, it's always going to be a people business, and we're selling social connections.
Social connections.
So it's not, I believe it's not going to change. Probably the properties are going to be larger. So we're going to have more economy of scale, and, the product is going to be more affordable. But 15 years from now, it's more of an evolution, I think, in our business than a revolution.
Okay. Is there a legacy? Do you see yourself leaving anything when you leave? What you would like your legacy to be? People to think about when they think about you and Cogir?
Oh boy, I don't
think the mark that you have left on this industry.
I'm not sure. I have that.
You're humble.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have that impact on the industry, but if I can leave something to the leaders is, being accessible.
Right.
I think it's so important. So we always have to be accessible. And, if I can leave something, if one day when I'm going to leave Kosher, it's that, just stay close to the sites. It's a people business. And don't try to use, systems to replace, that people connection.
Right.
So.
And then just bringing it back to today, is there something that could happen today or maybe in the next couple of months or year that would really dramatically help change the business, make it better? Is there one thing that you could see?
Yeah, there's one thing. One thing that I believe that could make a big difference, and it's on the affordability of what we, the services
Right.
and what we provide. So, in Quebec, we have a concept that is called the tax credit, where the government, they give a tax credit to our residents. And, the more services they're going to use, then it brings, the cost, to a lower level. And it's not, they don't give, the subsidy to the company. They give it to the seniors, and the seniors make the decision, where do they want to live? What services do I want to use? And if they're not happy, the money stay with them. So that's, one thing that in our business, I think we should all try to have that same, not saying that the tax credit in Quebec is perfect. We had a conversation last year with...
yeah, we had a whole panel on that last year.
Mr. Couillard.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah,
that was fun. But, something similar, even in the US, we had that same discussion last week. And the operators in the US, they wanted to have the money in their pocket. And no, I don't think so. I think, seniors, they're going to make their own decision.
Right.
So the money should follow the residents.
I was going to ask you about the U.S. because you operate in the U.S.
Yeah.
And how different is that? How different is the culture? How different is the landscape between the U.S. and here?
Oh boy, yeah, it's a lot different. Just the rents are double in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
So it's but it's only it touches just one segment of the population. Like everything in the U.S. There's one thing that we've learned at Kosher and being Canadian. The veterans in the U.S., they are stars in their residence. So it's, there's always a wall of, like a wall of fame for veterans. So that's a big difference. They have flags in front of every residences. So there's no Canadian flags. It's really the American flag. But the big, and it's the same as the Canadians. So from one state to the other, they have their own regulations.
Yeah.
Some are more Republicans or some are more Democrats. But, if we share one thing, again, it's that human connection. It's people caring for other people. And, that's amazing to see that it's similar from, Canadian to, the Canadian industry to the U.S. industry. And it's probably the same across, across the world for that specific point.
All right. Well, we're getting close to time here. And I just wanted to ask you before we go, is there any big piece of advice, big insight, big aha moment or insight that you can leave the audience today? About your leadership, about you?
I think one thing, that I would like to leave is, that we tell our team, so aside of that, never lose sight that we do this for people. You have to believe in what you do. So if you believe, that you're able to serve, seniors better, your team, you believe in your team, it's going to transpire. And your team is just going to become better. But if you don't believe in what you do, it's not only hard to sell, but you as a leader, nobody's going to follow you. So it's, and if some of you in the room or have watched, that series, Ted Lasso, he had this big, big poster with believe. But he was right, on this point. A lot of points, but on this point, I think it's something that we all have to keep in mind. We have to believe in ourselves and believe in our company, believe in our team, and surround yourself with the best.
All right. Ted Lasso, Frédéric Soucy,
Yeah.
thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen. Thank you.